Hi, my name's Dave Klappenberger. I am a franchisor with Klappenberger and Son, and I have two franchisees who we're going to be talking with who have been with me for both 4 years and 7 years. That's Daniel Tucker and Alex Mirnoff, respectively. We also have a digital marketing expert, someone who's just so versed in this field. Her name's Stacy Ivels. She has her own business. She works with other painting contractors, and she is going to share some of the results that she has also heard from her painting contractors with Angie's. Without further ado, Daniel, could you explain to me what the expectations you got from Angie's about the quality of the leads, what kind of service you were going to get from them, and what were your expectations based on your conversation with them?
They talked a lot about taking Home Advisor and what Home Advisor was and making it a lot better. And in the past, I had experience with Home Advisor. I didn't have experience with what Angie's was before they acquired Home Advisor. My experience with Home Advisor before was not that great, but everything that they said sounded good. It's going to be this monthly budget, and based on performance of other companies that they work with, they could tell you, they could give you a number of how many estimates you could expect per month. And it sounded very flexible. They said, if you're doing well and you want to do more, you can increase. If you want to, you can cancel anytime. It was just kind of like there was nothing to lose by signing up, which sounded awesome. So I signed up, and initially I was going to do like $600 a month, I think, which I thought was a pretty healthy starting, budget to see if it worked. And the salesperson who did the presentation and everything, was like, "Why don't?" He's like, I can only do like," he said something like, "I can only do like 550 or like 800. So why don't you jump up to 800?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess if I can cancel, I'm okay with 800. So let's just do that." And he, sent me the contract, which the thing that, tough lessons learned. I didn't double check the contract language. If I did, I would have noticed that it was not the same as what he was saying in the sales presentation. So I took him at his word, went with it, signed the contract, and then as far as my experience since then, it was. I mean, we might have gotten the number of leads that he promised. I'm not sure, but they weren't qualified. They said that these will be people that were actively reaching out. They've already done the qualifying part for us. Our job is to just reach out to them immediately and do our job to get it scheduled and get them an estimate. But a lot of the contacts didn't know who we were, didn't know that they had done anything that would initiate, the process, or the service wasn't, in line with what we do. They just weren't good qualified leads. So the percentage of leads actually turned into estimates wasn't good, and then even the estimates that we had weren't very good. So, and then when I tried to just modify the contract or the payment per month, that's when they got, really, you know they didn't want to work with me at all on that. And I fought with them back and forth for a little while on that, and eventually they agreed to lower it to, they wouldn't cancel the contract, but they would lower it to $350 a month. um so I mean, my experience with Angie has been worse than Home Advisor. At least with Home Advisor, I was paying per lead, and I felt like I had a little more control.
Have
So
they
are you
done,
stuck in a contract?
Yeah. So
Like what's the
12-month contract.
okay.
have they done anything to credit you the bad leads?
I mean, I have the thing is that you're not paying per lead, so they're not gonna look at that lead and say, "Oh, you're right, that wasn't good. Here's your money back." It's just like, you pay X amount and you should get this many leads.
Right, it's not a fixed number. That's right.
Yeah,
It was something like for $800, didn't they say it was something like 20 to 25 leads, something like that?
yeah, at least I think it was like at least 25. In terms of the quality of Angie leads and the quality of people that are using Angie, or the type of customer, I should say, not quality, but if they're budget shopping,
Right.
a lot of times we're going to be undercut. So if you're starting out and you have no SEO and you need every form of marketing that you can get and you can provide the lowest price, maybe it's a good way to go, but it wasn't for me.
So I've been dealing with Home Advisor for a few years. Initially, the expectation was basically to generate leads immediately. That was the intent, right? And especially when I hired estimators, I needed to make sure that the estimators have actual estimates to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I used Home Advisor for that. Before I had a dedicated office person, the closing rate was non-existent. It was like 2%, because basically Home Advisor, which is now called Angie's Leads, worked in such a way that you get a notification that there is a lead. If you don't call within the first 2 minutes, you don't get any response from the customer, because that lead goes to like up to 10, I think, contractors or something.
This is with
Yeah,
Angie or Home Advisor?
That was the Home Advisor. So basically, even if you get through to the customer is already irritated by that time by all the calls they're getting. So they already dislike you. So once I got a dedicated office person, I put a policy in place that when a lead comes in, she is to drop everything and call the person immediately. So our close rate went to between 8 and 17%.
Wow.
And last year, I basically it generated a lot of leads. It depends on the budget that I allocated. I used to spend up to like $7,000 a month on Home Advisor leads.
Really?
That was the biggest. Yeah, the biggest was a little over 7,000. Yeah. So
with results of 8 to 17% close rate?
yes.
And what is your close rate on non-Home Advisor, pay-per-click?
Our average
SEO?
close rate is 35%.
35%.
For everything.
So if you probably took out those $7,000 or thousands of dollars of leads you got from Home Advisor, it might be significantly higher. That's really bringing down your average.
Right. So, and I fully realized that the quality was poor and everything, but basically because I had several estimators, I still had to ensure that we have the bulk of leads coming in. Last year, I wasn't pressed for leads anymore. So I analyzed the quality more carefully, and the close rate still remained fairly low, right? It was like in the teens, mid-teens, right around 15%. But because previously, like at the end of 2021, I think, I called them to cancel. And they did everything they could to keep me. They offered some discounts. And then one big thing that happened, I was able to really hone the approach. Instead of basically buying any painting leads, we narrowed everything down. We narrowed the area down to a few select zip codes, only in the most affluent area of Montgomery County. And I set the software to notify us and charge us only for interior painting with 3 rooms or more. That's it. Because of that, even though our closing rate remained in the teens, the quality of the leads went up. So when I analyzed 2022, the ROI was really impressive. We made a lot more than we invested into Home Advisor, which became Angie's Leads. Now this year is interesting. I did not analyze Angie's at all until you and I spoke yesterday. So this morning, I ran some numbers. Turns out we're not getting any Angie's Leads, the former Home Advisor leads, since January. None at all. And they're not charging us anything at all. I don't know why. The account is still open. The credit card is there. Everything is the same. It's just like completely empty. So I'm not sure if I want to talk to them about this or just leave everything as is. Angie's,
Right.
which used to be Angie's list, now just Angie, right? So that thing, I'm paying a fixed amount of $336.20 a month just to be on the web page, on that page, regardless of whether they generate leads or how many leads they generate. Nonetheless, I ran the numbers, and this year to date, we got 57 leads from them in total. Unfortunately, those leads include people who want us to repair Stacko and install wallpaper. And you know, we have difficulty basically finding good wallpaper installers, so we can't really do the wallpaper at the moment, wallpaper installation, unless it's a fairly small project. And we decided not to deal with Stacko. So out of the 57 leads that we received this year, we actually scheduled 13 estimates.
Wow.
Out of the 13 estimates, we closed one project. So that project almost covered the amount of money we paid so far this year.
You mean the gross sale of that job is
No, the profit.
the profit? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Not
it
the
was
gross
it was a good help. It was a good sized job, I guess.
Yeah, it was a good sized job. Yeah. But like I said, again, with Angie's, my intent was more of brand visibility than lead generation. So I'm okay leaving it running, at least for this, you know, till the end of this year.
How much money have you invested with Angie to get that one close?
$2,017.20.
So you spent 2000, I'm sorry,
$2,017.20.
okay. So for 50 cent, you paid for $2,017, you got 57 leads and you closed one job. And the
Correct.
profit of that job that you closed was about $2,017.
Right.
But you've also gone to 13 estimates, which is
Right.
taken about, let's just say it's 2 hours or at least 2 hours to drive there, drive home, write up the estimate, to schedule the estimate. You at least have 2 or 3 hours invested in it. So you at least have 26 hours plus $2,000 to get a $10,000 job or something.
Well, to get a $5,000 job. Yeah.
Luis in Texas, they have gotten 20 Angie leads and they've closed one job. And
Sounds
his
right.
close rate is still 46.8%. And those 20 leads are crushing his, he might have a upper 50, 60% close rate. But if they weren't using Angie's. What do you have, Daniel?
This year, we've scheduled 13 estimates.
Just like Alex.
We closed 2. And one of them was a $712 job that we got a 2-star Google review for because she was upset about the price.
And what is your Google review rating now? Do you know?
It's 4.8, I think.
4.8. And you got over 100 Google reviews. Yeah.
I can also tell you that in the past 4 months, clicks from Angie's to klappenbergerandson.com is 2 clicks.
So much for brand visibility, huh?
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, so I don't really think it's working for the unless they call directly from Angie's.
Possible.
Daniel, do they have a minimum spend? Is that why you have to be at 350? Like you can't reduce anymore?
I'm pretty sure the minimum is 350. Yeah.
Okay.
Stacy, do you have any Angie stories that you know from your other painting customers?
I have a customer that's very similar to Daniel. He was told that it was a month-to-month contract, and it wasn't. He was told he could switch the amount anytime he wanted to, and he couldn't. And yeah, so Daniel's story was, when he told it, I wasn't surprised, just because it happened to somebody else that I knew.
So when you look at the data, you have Alex and Daniel with both 13 leads and a total of 3 closes, and Luis 20 leads with 1 close. That's 46 leads with 4 closes. That's under 10%. When you look at the cost of those leads and the time it takes to do that, you can make up your own mind whether you think that this is a good avenue for you to go ahead and move forward with Angie's. Hi, if you found this information helpful, you know what to do. Give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and stay up on top of the latest and greatest in home improvements.